Let me ask you something. Have you ever booted up a brand new game? One with insane graphics, realistic lighting, motion capture, and a massive budget, and somehow it just doesn't feel as fun as a game you played 10 or even 20 years ago? Well, you're not alone. A lot of us gamers feel like something is missing from modern games. And no, this isn't just nostalgia talking. Today we're breaking down why modern games often feel worse than older ones, what actually changed in game design, and why some classics still hold better than many AAA releases today. One of the biggest differences between older and modern games is simple. Older games had to be finished before release. Back in the PS2, GameCube, and original Xbox era, developers couldn't rely on massive day one patches. If a game shipped broken, that was it. So what studios did was tested games more thoroughly, reducing the overall bugs and glitches, cut broken features before launch so gamers could have a smoother experience, and polished mechanics until they worked, giving the game a completed feel and made us all happy. Today, games are often released unfinished, with the expectation that bugs will be patched later, content will be added, and game balancing errors that will be fixed eventually. At this point, players have basically become unpaid beta testers. I do believe many developers choose to launch their game in early access to give themselves sort of a backlash buffer, or an excuse to say, we will just polish it over time. And when a game launches broken, even if it gets fixed months later, that first impression damage is permanent. Those negative launch reviews rarely get players to change their minds about taking it down or updating their review. Older games were designed around one goal: to be fun enough to recommend it to others. Modern games, however, a totally different story. Many are designed around battle passes, microtransactions, cosmetic shops, and engagement metrics. Game systems now ask questions like, how do we keep players logging in every day? How do we slow progression? And how do we find a way to keep players buying our overpriced skins that provide no advantage? That's why you see artificial grinding, time-gated content, XP boosters sold for real money. In older games, progression felt rewarding because it was designed for player satisfaction, not monetization funnels. Just think about the feeling of accomplishment you got when you obtained the Recon or Hayabusa armor in Halo 3. It's just not the same anymore. Now, the fun is often deliberately stretched thin, so you're more likely to pay. Looking at older classics such as Shadow of the Colossus, Metal Gear Solid, Half-Life 2, Silent Hill, and GTA San Andreas. These games were weird. They experimented with mechanics, tone, and storytelling. Modern AAA games, on the other hand, often feel safe. Why? Because budgets are massive. When a game costs hundreds of millions of dollars to make, studios avoid risk. So instead we get open-world maps with towers, crafting systems that feel copy-pasted, and skill trees that barely change gameplay. Older games weren't afraid to fail. Modern games are afraid to try. There's no denying it. Modern games look incredible, but graphical improvements came at a cost. Development time is now heavily focused on realistic animations, ultra-detailed environments, facial capture, and ray tracing. Oh, don't forget about path tracing. Meanwhile, core gameplay mechanics often stay the same for years. You could compare older shooters that emphasize movement and skill and older RPGs with meaningful choices to modern games that hold your hand constantly, mark everything on the map for you, and remove challenge for accessibility. Games look better than ever, but feel less engaging because interaction depth hasn't kept up. I really dislike this trend of making your game the most realistic it can look. Meanwhile, I'm only getting 30 FPS and horrible level rendering. Older games trusted players. They didn't highlight every objective, explain every mechanic 3 times, pause gameplay for tutorials every 5 minutes. You learned by experimenting, failing, and exploring. Modern games are terrified of players getting lost in their worlds. So they add GPS-style minimaps, waypoints for everything, and UI clutter everywhere. As a result, discovery feels scripted instead of earned. You're not exploring the world, you're following instructions. Older games had something modern games rarely do: an ending. You finished the story, you completed the content, you moved on, completely satisfied.
That ending gave me chills. I think we just went to heaven with our wife. And then they bring this beautiful soundtrack in the background, like, fuck.
Meanwhile, live service games are designed to never let you stop playing. That leads to burnout, repetitive content, fear of missing out events. Oh gosh. Instead of feeling complete, games feel exhausting, like you have to constantly keep up with limited events, resulting in constant pressure. When everything is designed to keep you hooked forever, nothing feels meaningful anymore. Yes, I know, nostalgia plays a role here. But here's the proof. This isn't just old gamer bias. When older games get remastered or replayed, many of them still hold up. Why? Because their mechanics were tight, their systems were focused, and their design had intent. Meanwhile, many modern games feel bloated, bigger but not better. Modern games aren't all bad, but the industry shifted priorities from fun to profit, from creativity to safety, from complete experiences to endless engagement. That's why older games often feel more memorable. They weren't perfect, but they respected your time. And maybe that's what we miss the most.